Okay, good morning, children,
Good morning.
Good morning.
and welcome to another Saturday school. We're going to be looking at the story of Daniel today. Okay, have you heard of this story before?
I
You
Yeah.
don't know? Okay. And we're going to be reading from two chapters, chapter 1 and chapter 6. So I'm just going to pick some verses from those chapters. We're not going to read everything, okay, because it's quite long. So this is Daniel 1 to 7. So in the third year of the reign of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came to Jerusalem and surrounded it. And the Lord delivered Jehoiakim, king of Judah, into his hand, along with some of the articles from the temple of God. These he carried off to the temple of his God in Babylonia and put in the treasury house of his God. Then the king ordered Ashpenaz, chief of his court of officials, to bring into the king's service some of the Israelites from the royal family and the nobility, young men without any physical defect, and some showing aptitude for every kind of learning, well informed, quick to understand, and qualified to serve in the king's palace. He was to teach them the language and literature of the Babylonians. The king assigned them a daily amount of food and wine from the king's table. They were to be trained for 3 years, and after that they were to enter the king's service. Among those who were chosen were some from Judah: Daniel, Ananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. The chief official gave them new names. To Daniel, the name Belteshazzar; to Ananiah, Shadrach; to Mishael, Meshach; and to Azariah, Abednego. To these 4 young men, God gave knowledge and understanding of all kinds of literature and learning. And Daniel could understand visions and dreams of all kinds. At the end of the time set by the king to bring them into his service, the chief official presented them to Nebuchadnezzar. The king talked with them, and he found none equal to Daniel, Ananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. So they entered the king's service. In every matter of wisdom and understanding, about which the king questioned them, he found them 10 times better than all the magicians in his whole kingdom. So we're going to read Daniel 6, 1 to 5 as well. It pleased Darius to appoint 120 governors to rule throughout the kingdom, with 3 administrators over them, one of whom was Daniel. The governors were accountable to them, so that the king might not suffer loss. Now Daniel so distinguished himself among the administrators and the governors by his exceptional qualities that the king planned to set him over the whole kingdom. At this, the administrators and the governors tried to find grounds for charges against Daniel in his conduct of government affairs, but they were unable to do so. They could find no corruption in him because he was trustworthy and neither corrupt nor negligent. Finally, these men said, "We will never find any basis for charges against this man Daniel, unless it was something to do with the law of his God." Okay, so we're gonna watch a video, and the video will tell us a bit more story about Daniel. So you have to remember the text that we've read and the information you're going to get from the video, because that's going to be important when you're going through your quizzes. So if you're watching online, you can access the video from the link below. From the text we've read and from the video that you've seen, we see who God is to Daniel and the...
No, that's just
The only thing
It's not
we must worship is Daniel.
No, it's not.
Okay, so we see that they said that Daniel served how many kings?
3.
4.
4.
When did it say 4?
Yeah.
No.
Yes,
What?
it is. It said 3.
It said 3 first, then 4. Okay, but whenever you're serving those kings, what did Daniel choose?
We
When
always
God.
choose
God.
God.
I said
every
it first.
time, okay,
No.
Daniel
Pray to God.
chooses God over the king. So, and this is the reason why God is our king, okay, and we must serve God first,
I only showed 2.
right? Sorry, wait a
Did
second.
it? I only showed 2.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine. But the lesson is, it doesn't matter who the earthly king is. God is more important. We have to serve God first
The king.
over anybody else.
2.
Okay, because God is our king. Okay, and He's the only one we must worship. All right. So, and what do we see here in the story as well? Because remember, we read that Daniel was taken from his country to another country, from Israel to another country called Babylon, right? Daniel had to learn this new language, and he had to learn how to read the books and the literatures of this new kingdom. And what happened? God gave Daniel and his friends wisdom, gave them knowledge and understanding to be able to read these books and even know it better than the people that were actually citizens of that country. So God is our teacher because God gave Daniel knowledge and understanding to be able to understand.
And He gave them strength.
We'll get to that. Then what else did we see? God is our strength. Okay, because Daniel refused to eat meat. You can imagine, he refused to eat chicken, he refused to eat meat, he refused to drink nice, delicious wine that the king gave all the people that...
But he didn't drink it.
They didn't drink the wine, they didn't eat the meat, because they thought the food has been offered to a false god. So Daniel said, just give us vegetables and water. And guess what? They ate vegetables and water for 10 days, and Daniel and his friends were stronger than all these other boys eating nice food, meat, wine, delicious prawns. So, and what do we say, learn from the story again? Daniel, one of the king that Daniel served, some of the governors working with Daniel set Daniel up, right? And because of that,
she wanted to get Daniel in trouble.
They got him into trouble actually.
But
They got Daniel.
But God sent an angel.
One at a time.
So God sent an angel down to shut the lion's mouth up, so the lion couldn't kill Joseph. Daniel.
You know the story. Well done. Let me tell. The king threw Daniel's friends, 3 other friends that Daniel had, threw them into the furnace of fire because they would not worship the king. And remember what we said at the beginning, who was God? God is our king. So these boys didn't want to worship any other king because they were asked to bow down to this, gold statue that the king created, that everybody must bow down, and everybody was doing it. But Daniel and his 3 friends refused to do it. So they took Daniel's 3 friends, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, threw them into a hot fire. It was very hot.
But
Right.
they didn't smell any smoke.
The fire didn't touch them. The fire didn't burn a strand of hair
But how
on their head.
did it do that?
Because that was God's. That was a miracle. Okay? God showed that if you serve me, I will always be with you when you're in trouble. And God was with them when they were in
And
trouble.
there was another statue, and they bowed, and the three
So God
bowed
protected
down.
them, right, from fire, but God protected Daniel from hungry lions as well. So God is our protector. Okay? Now, quiz time. Question number 1. What special ability did God give Daniel that allowed him to interpret dreams?
What does interpret mean?
Interpret.
Interpret is you can explain. So Daniel was able to explain dreams. A. Healing the sick. B. Reading too many books. C. Understanding visions and dreams. Question number 2. Why did Daniel refuse to eat the king's food and wine during his training in Babylon? A. He was on a diet. B. He didn't like the taste. C. He didn't want to defile himself. Question number 3. What did Daniel continue to do 3 times a day despite a royal decree against it? A. Dance. B. Pray. C. Eat. Question number 4. How did God protect Daniel when he was thrown into the lion's den? A. He shut the mouth of the lions. B. He made Daniel invincible. C. He sent an earthquake. Question number 5. What was the name given to Daniel by the Babylonian officials? A. Meshach. B. Bethelshazzar. C. Shadrach. Okay, good job. Now swap and let's mark.
Okay.
Yay!
Guys, get some treats. We're going to continue, and now we're going to ask the question, why did God create you? So in this context of the story of Daniel, God created us to be faithful witness and ambassador here on earth. Does anybody know what an ambassador is?
You said that
Let me see.
You said ambassador before.
Here to promote. No.
You don't know you don't know the role of ambassadors.
No, not really. All I know when they say
Yeah,
British
they-
ambassadors
they
Nigeria
rule
or all that. I
countries.
guess they're just
Okay, so even in that context,
They will
can you figure out? So they say British ambassador to Nigeria, Nigerian ambassador to United Kingdom, British ambassador to the US, Chinese ambassador to Nigeria, to America. So what do you think that means? Just within that context of you've heard. Of course, yeah, they have to leave their country to go to another country. Yes, that's right, in a sense.
I don't know.
Okay, all right. So
I need to travel.
okay, yeah, okay. So the context of ambassador is every country is a kingdom. Okay, now every country, if they want to have a representation of themselves in another kingdom, then they will have an ambassador that will be the guy that will go from his country to another country, and that person, one person, represents the entire country in another country, right? And where do ambassadors live, right? They live in embassies, right? Embassy, the context of the word embassy is another country in another country. Okay? You're not allowed to go if you're in Nigeria, Lagos, and you have British embassy. Nigerians are not allowed. Even Nigerian government is not allowed to go into the British embassy without British United Kingdom's permission. You can cause war if you do that. You are not allowed because that is a territory of United Kingdom in Nigeria. And same goes for Nigerian embassy in the UK. So now, in the context of God, right, and Daniel coming from, as a Jew, coming from Israelite and being carried into this new country called Babylon, right? God expects us to be his representation. Okay, remember God said about the Israelites that these are my people, these are my chosen people. You belong to another kingdom, all of you. You belong to God's kingdom. Okay, and that's what Christianity is all about. The fact that we believe in Jesus Christ, we believe in God and the Holy Spirit. So we are representatives of God. You have another passport, a superior passport, the passport of heaven. You have heaven's passport because you believe in God, but that passport is in your heart. So Daniel had the same passport, the passport from heaven, right? Because he believes in God. And Daniel was very faithful to God, even in a foreign country. So Daniel was an ambassador of God, of God's kingdom on earth. Do you understand that now?
Yeah.
That's why God created you guys and created everybody. And God created you to demonstrate diligence in our assignment, and we see that in Daniel's story and his friends. What can you remember from the text that we read and the video that you guys listened to about Daniel?
That he was also following God and doing what God asked him to do and translating dreams that God has sent to different people.
Okay, did you hear anything about, Daniel being 10 times better than all his colleagues?
Yeah.
Did you hear?
Ate vegetables 10 times.
No, as in Daniel
Was 10
having
times
a lot of understanding, very smart. Daniel was a genius.
Because you
He
read
was.
and
Because, very good,
Like
Olumaki.
Albert Einstein.
Yeah, he didn't become a genius overnight. He didn't become a genius by just watching TV all day,
That was my kid.
right? He didn't become a genius by just eating vegetables.
Cheese.
Right?
Became a genius.
I thought vegetables were supposed to make you
Let me
smart.
just finish it.
Cheese.
He became a genius by
Genius. Read it.
from
By reading a book
reading a lot of books.
and reading the Bible.
Of course. You became a genius by reading a lot of books. That's how you become geniuses, right? You have to read a lot. You have to understand different texts, different ideas. You're a genius. So we see Daniel, demonstrating, diligence in his assignment because Daniel is a high achiever. Okay? And what did we see as well? Why God created us? And Daniel did that. We see how a lot of people, Daniel's colleagues, right? And his other friends' colleagues, how they didn't like them because, they had a relationship with God and they would report them to the king. They would get them into trouble, right? That threw those three friends, Daniel's friends, into the furnace of fire. They got Daniel into trouble because they couldn't find anything against Daniel. They had to go and create something that would get Daniel into trouble, and Daniel got thrown into the lion's den. But Daniel did not disrespect these people. Daniel showed love to everybody. Daniel's friends showed love to everybody, even people that didn't like them. Okay, he treated them with respect, right? And remember, Daniel was not in his country, but Daniel served all the kings that he worked for. He served those kings very well because Daniel was very young.
Who was the last king, friend?
The one that we know in the Bible, I think, was Darius. That was the name. The first one that we read was Nebuchadnezzar. The point we're trying to make is you honor God, right? When you treat people with love and respect. It doesn't matter who they are. You always have to treat people with love and respect. So what is your purpose? To demonstrate God's power and faithfulness. And we see that again when the three Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, when they were thrown into the furnace of fire, when they came out of the fire,
There were 4.
well, the king saw 4 people in the fire because an angel was with them, right, in the fire. But when they came out of the fire, what did the king say? The king said, the God of Daniel and the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego is a true God. Leave them alone. Let them serve their God. Okay? So through that, through what, not what they did, but what God did through them, but the boys did something first, right? They honored God first. They did not bow to the king. Okay? So they loved God, honored God, and worshiped only one true God, one king. And God demonstrated his power through that. Okay? And the king realized that God was the only true God from that event. Then, our purpose, again, is to be a model of faith and integrity. And again, we see that in the text, that Daniel was very, very diligent, and his friends. They did everything they were asked to do. They went through this course, right, for a very long time.
Every day.
Right, every day. And they did excellent work. That, the king and the people that were, looking after them, training them, were so impressed with them that they said, these boys, they've got something special, right? But they did an exceptional work. And that showed, right, a model of integrity that they showed in there. And of course, they believed in God so much. And they demonstrated that to the people around them. The next point on what your purpose is, you never stop learning and exploring. That's very, very important. So Daniel and his friends never stopped learning. They, studied a lot, all the literatures that they could find, get their hands on, they studied everything. And that showed, because at the end of the day, they did, 10 times better than all of their peers. Question number 6. How did King Darius react when he learned that Daniel had been thrown into the lion's den? A. He was distressed and tried to save Daniel. B. He was pleased with his officials. C. He ordered his officials to be punished. Question number 7. How did Daniel's friends, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, survive the fiery furnace? A. They wore heat-resistant clothing. B. An angel protected them from the flames. C. They prayed for rain. Question number 8. In Daniel chapter 1, what food did Daniel and his friends request to eat instead of the king's food? A.
What is
Only vegetables and water. B. Fruits and honey. C. Bread and milk. Question number 9. How long was Daniel's training period in the Babylonian court? A. 6 months. B. 1 year. C. 3 years.
Wait.
Question number 10. How did Daniel respond when he was told about the royal decree against praying to any god except the king? A. he ignored it. B, he continued praying as before. C, he prayed secretly. All right. Swap. Let's mark. So another trait, guys. Let's be quick. What financial principles did we learn from the story of Daniel? So we saw that Daniel's excellence and diligence got him one of the best jobs at that time. To work for a king and to be, one of the best people, right? Because remember, they were trained for 3 years, right? It's like going to university and getting a job in the biggest company in the whole world, right? Because Babylon was like superpower then, right? So it's like getting a job in the White House, right? And not just getting any job, you're getting a job where you're actually an advisor to the president, you're an advisor to the king, okay? So that's what. Then the other lesson we learned, financial principle, is that God rewarded Daniel's faithfulness and hard work with influence, meaning Daniel could go and talk to the king anytime, and not only one king, about 4 kings worked with Daniel, and that those kings, they respected Daniel so well, right? They loved him. Okay, so God rewarded Daniel's hard work and faithfulness with influence, power, and wealth. For you to work for a king at that level, you must be paid a lot of money. Okay, so Daniel wasn't poor. Daniel was wealthy.
So he got lots of money?
Yeah, remember, Daniel came from, he was, like a slave from Israel in this new country, right? And after 3 years of studying very hard, being diligent with his work, doing his job, right? And not compromising, serving God faithfully, then he became one of the, one of the well-known staff of the king. That it got to a point where the king even wanted Daniel to rule over the kingdom. Yeah, if you're paying attention, you remember that text in chapter 6.
Do you remember
That it got to a point that one of the king, right, King Darius, wanted to make Daniel the ruler of the whole kingdom. That was how exceptional Daniel was. So the other thing we saw, financial principle that we can learn from here, that Daniel managed his time well. Time plus idea equals wealth. And we're going to watch a video shortly. If you're watching this online, you can get access to the link of the video from the description below. At the beginning of this video, I said that time and idea equals wealth. So what can you tell me about, sum up from the 10 kids that were shown in that video? What was unique about them? Or what was common about all of them? Compare all the 10 boys and girls that were shown in there. What was similar about all of them? There's something similar, but the common theme there is they all were very diligent, right? With the work that they were doing. They had an idea, right? And they pursued it, right? And they pursued it using what? Spending their time to, research and study how to improve their ideas, how to market their ideas, how to reading books. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, you do research by reading books, getting information from people that are older than you, right? Asking people that are older than you to help you, do certain things. The boy with the bow tie, where did he start? he asked his mother, his grandmother, to help him, sew. He will select the fabric.
The 10th one, the last one.
It doesn't matter. The boy with the bow tie, okay? More bow, or what's, that had bow tie. So he started by, asking his grandmother
I know what it looks like when I
to help him out. Some of them, right, would, have family to, borrow them money to start a business. All of them were hardworking, hard workers, all of them. All of them used their time wisely, researching, studying, and reading, right, to make sure that they're able to implement their ideas, right? But all of them had ideas, and they went after those ideas, okay? And all of them are successful. So, in conclusion, we see Daniel, that was a slave, a captive from Israelite, right? He became the chosen because he was captured from Israelite
Why did
as
they
a
call
slave.
it Daniel?
But Daniel was captured from his country, his own country, Israel, brought into a new country, Babylon, and in Babylon he was chosen to be one of the king's staff.
Did someone want him in Babylon or somewhere?
He was captured. Okay, he was captured. If you remember the first verse that we read in chapter 1, right? The king of Babylon went to invade Israel, right? And they defeated Israel and they captured the people in Israel, right? And they brought them over, the young boys that were, handsome, clever, strong. They brought all of those boys to Babylon and they made them slaves. They trained them because they wanted them to learn, the literatures of Babylon. And Daniel and his other 3 friends became so exceptional, right, in what they were doing. The king really liked them. Okay? So, and we saw Daniel, having favor. The people that got Daniel and his 3 friends into trouble, those people were just jealous of them. And they wanted them to get them into trouble. Okay? Not everybody will like you, and you have to accept that. Okay? Not everybody will be your friend. Right? And you have to accept that. The only thing you have in your power to do is what?
Read books.
To be diligent in your work. Right? Diligent means, for you to put your heart and soul into what you're doing. Okay? To do your work very well. Right? That will make you exceptional. If people don't like you, that's fine. God loves you. Your family loves you. You have friends that love you. Okay? And that's enough. Understood? Then Daniel had favor and wisdom. God gave him wisdom and understanding. And remember, when he wanted to, eat just vegetables, and he asked the chief, right, that he told the chief, can you just, let us eat vegetables rather than eat the meat and the wine? God gave Daniel favor in the eyes of the chief. Because if Daniel had eaten the vegetables and he wasn't strong after 10 days, he was weak and sick, they would have killed that chief administrator. Okay? Then the next thing is Daniel was determined, and through his determination, right, he was very excellent in everything that he did. Okay, so Daniel was exceptional and excellent in everything that he did. Then Daniel was loyal as well, was loyal to God because of his faith. And because of that, God gave him prominence. Prominence means he was loved by all the kings that he served, right? And one of the kings almost made Daniel the ruler of the entire kingdom. Okay? So that's the end of our Saturday school. Thank you very much.